Hello everybody, I am Jared Ross, the Genie Vlogger, and welcome back to another Professional Genealogist Reacts. On today's video, I will be reacting to Where I'm Really From Revealed DNA Test by Jeremy Lynch. Now this is a channel I am not familiar with. It's a really large channel, 7.19 million subscribers, but from just taking a quick peek at his channel and watching it, like clicking on a few videos, he seems to be British, but he also seems to be some sort of African-European mixture. So it'll be interesting to see what he is, because maybe he's not even African at all and he's just looking that way because of a mixture of other ancestry. So I honestly have no clue what to expect, but I'm not going to really say anything else. Let's just jump into the video.
What's up, guys? In this video, I'm going to be finding out and revealing exactly where I'm from. Now, I get asked where I'm from all the time because I love to do content that celebrates a wide array of territories and countries. One of Google's most searched questions, in fact, is Jeremy Lynch Nigerian? So we'll be finding out in this video if there's any Nigerian in me, and if so, how much, because it breaks it down into a very detailed percentage for each territory. So in this video, we're going to be finding out the answer. Where am I actually from? What is my actual true heritage? So this is how we're going to find out. We've got a My Heritage DNA box, and I'm going to unbox it now and we'll see what's inside. Okay, so this is what's inside the box. This looks very biohazardous. 2 swabs, and then these things. Remove one cheek swab from its wrapper and use a swab to scrape.
I don't understand why the music is so ominous. It makes it sound like it's a horror film.
Inside of one of your cheeks while rotating the swab for 36 seconds. Okay, scrape the inside of one of your cheeks for 30 to 60 seconds, and then you put it inside the vial. So let me do that right now. Inside there. Boom. Snap that off. And it's back on. Okay, so here we go. This is the data that is revealing exactly where I'm from.
Okay.
And you can see at the very top, I've got 32.8% Irish, Scottish, and Welsh. Then next up, we've got 14.6% Balkan, 7.1% Iberian, 22.1% Nigerian.
Okay.
Yes!
So he is African.
I've got Nigerian in me. And Sierra Leone, 16.5% Sierra Leone. That's high. I never knew that. I'm 16.5% Sierra Leonean. That is sick. And Kenyan. 6.1% Kenya. Come on.
The music's so so inspirational right now, going from that horror film music when he was taking the test to oh, conquests.
Yes, shout out to my Kenyans who watch me and support me. I love you guys. And now we found out that I've actually got Kenyan in me, and we share lineage. That is incredible. And then lastly, we've got Asia, 0.8% Inuit. That is mad. Again, I had no idea.
The Inuit's really interesting at 0.8%, and we are on My Heritage, which unfortunately My Heritage is the one known for having the more grandiose readings where it doesn't really match up to what people expect, and when you compare it to the other companies, a lot of times it's like the most skewed, the biggest outlier in how different it is. But 0.8%, very, very trace, very small, so very, very low confidence that it is true. But it's an Asian DNA reading, whereas he doesn't have any other readings that really correlate to it that much. I mean, I guess technically you could kind of say with the Balkan, you do have that sort of, getting into Eastern Europe and into, Asia sort of possibilities, and maybe that's where it is. But I don't know. I think that's kind of an interesting one, and it's one that, as each update comes along, does it stay or does it go?
Literally no idea. So that's the overview, but check this out. You've got this map of the world where the regions where you're from are colored in, and you can click on any region and it gives you an in-depth detailed breakdown of exactly what regions you're from. So let's go through them. So we'll start with the big blue one here. That's the Inuit. And if I zoom in, you can see that these are the potential regions where my ancestors came from. So
I think that thinking of this as these are potential, well, I guess you could say these are potential regions where your ancestors came from, but a better way to really think of it is these are the regions where there are people that they say that you have correlating DNA with. His ancestry might not have been there. It might be something correlated with it that it just makes the readings harder to decipher, and because of that, you get something else. So that's why I was saying very low confidence at 0.8%. Could be true. Maybe he has some really, really distant Inuit or Asian ancestry of some sort, and that's what's happening here. Or it's just a misread, and there's always a 1% error in reading these DNA tests, and they're reading 700,000 markers. So 1% DNA, out of 700,000, that's 7,000 markers that they might have read wrong, and those little bits can change how the algorithm comes out. So that could be it here, but let's continue.
And you've got Alaska, and then it's even creeping into Russia there. That is sick. This is so cool. All right, so let's zoom out, and let's go back, and let's check on, okay, let's go with Kenyan. So, here we go. So this is a much more close, detailed breakdown of the region in and around Kenya.
When it comes to African readings through these different tests, they aren't very good at it. They're known for being somewhat vague and having a lot of difficulties because of the difficulty of getting population samples and studies done in Africa. And of all the different companies that have the more granular results for Africa, I don't think MyHeritage is up there. The most granular one is Living DNA, actually. They have probably the most granular out of all of them when it comes to African readings. But this really isn't saying anything specific of, well, this is where your family's from, or that, he probably does have family in areas that correlate with Kenya or anything like that, but his family might not have even lived in where this circle is. They might have lived further south. They might have lived further north. They might have actually been more in Somalia. They might have been, further east. They might have been in the Sudan, or they might have, they could have been elsewhere. And until you do the family tree and all of that, you really don't know. So, you'd really need to do the family tree to find out where were they actually living. And when you look at different companies and how they show the results in maps like this, a lot of the different companies, or some of them, I think Ancestry does it, and I don't know if 23andMe does, but they'll do like a layered sort of circle. So instead of like just one color, it'll be darker in the middle and then less color as you go out, just indicating that this is kind of the central area where we're defining this population group, but then you will find others with that correlating DNA segments in these areas and these areas and these areas. And it might not even be a circle. You might have it where there's like some big jut over here because, in a year they do a study with a bunch of people from Somalia, and all of a sudden, oh wow, there's this big DNA correlation we didn't notice before with these population groups in these specific areas of Somalia and Kenya, or, just different things like that. Let's continue.
Where my ancestors are from, if I zoom in more, you can see anything within this green zone is somewhere where my ancestors were potentially from.
No. Not
so
quite.
You've even got Uganda.
Maybe, but not quite.
You've got a bit of Uganda in there, you've got Kenya, you've got some Sudan.
Yeah, see, this is the thing that I think for a lot of genetic genealogists, it's like, don't read it so specifically. Don't look at it as, this is exactly where they... So I had ancestors in this town, and in this town, and in this town, but not in this town, because that's not inside the circle. Don't read it like that. I don't know if that's exactly how he's reading it, but the way he's saying it, that is.
I'm part of Ethiopia, and even some Somalia. This is so cool, man. Wow, I had no idea that I had... And that's what... Tanzania. Mad. All right, let's come back out and let's go on to the next region. So we've done the Inuit breakdown, we've done the Kenya breakdown. Let's click on this red one here. Hey! This is crazy. So look, we've got Hungary here, Serbia, Kosovo, Romania, where else? Slovenia, Austria, Bulgaria.
Yeah. It even touches Italy. He's Italian. Oh my gosh.
And Herzegovina. I don't want to miss any out. Slovakia. Did I say Slovakia? Hungary, Romania, Serbia.
Yes. Also known as the Balkans in Eastern Europe.
Wow. Again, there's Croatia there. I didn't even see that. Croatia. Wow, yeah. I had...
That is where Croatia is.
No idea.
The country that looks like a C, so you can remember it's Croatia.
About any of these places being part of my heritage. Wow. All right, let's go for the next one. Let's go with this one, the green one here.
Wow, this is crazy.
Spain, Portugal, Andorra. Even some France in there. Going into Monaco.
Even North Africa.
Algeria, just creeping in. Algeria, a bit of Algeria creeping in, and Morocco. So it's kind of...
I honestly would kind of like I wish I could just jump to where he is now and be like, so how are you reading this? When you look at this map and you are seeing each one of these countries in this circle, are you reading this as this circle is exactly where your ancestors are, and outside of that, that's not where they were? Or are you reading it as this is generally where they might have been? Because that's what it should be. But I'm guessing... Yeah, all right. I shouldn't keep saying the same stuff.
Some of my ancestors were from this green region. So any of these countries here, this is another region which I have lineage in, which I had no idea about. Wow. Okay, let's come out again.
His music choices for these videos, is this a common thing? He obviously has a big channel. I'm sure there's going to be a ton of my viewers who have watched his channel. So I'm curious, is this common with his videos to have this like crazy intense music that really doesn't fit?
Let's go for this green one here. Nigeria.
Oh, this is crazy.
It's not just Nigeria.
This is crazy. Look, it says Benin and Togo.
Are also within the green zone. So we've got Togo, we've got Benin, we've got Cameroon there, we've got Chad, the bottom part of Niger. Burkina Faso. Hey, Burkina Faso. Raw. Ghana, come on. There's a bit of Ghana there. There's a bit of Ghana in the green zone. I'm taking it. I've got a bit of Ghanaian in me. Come on. Shout out Ghana. All right, there's a couple more.
I really hope this isn't the whole video of him just zooming in and then reading what's in the circles. It doesn't say anything. There's not much time left. I was really, really hopeful. I don't know if I'm going to play the ad that he said in the video for MyHeritage. But in his ad, it's
fun and easy to discover your origins, and you might even find new relatives.
I was really kind of hoping maybe he'll show the relatives, but I'm losing confidence that he will because... yeah, let's continue.
This is the Sierra Leone spot. Come on. Sierra Leone. So that's covering
Liberia.
The whole country of Sierra Leone. And also, we've got Guinea.
Liberia.
Liberia. There's a bit of Liberia there. And I think that's it. Sierra Leone, Guinea, and Liberia. Mad. And I know that a lot of you guys watching this are from a lot of these regions which are popping up in MyHeritage. So shout out to everyone who's sharing heritage with me. Shout out to everyone in the world. My love goes out to everyone. I love all people from all territories. You guys already know that. But I am so gassed that I have all of these different places in my history, and I share lineage with...
Yeah, not all of these places will be in your history. They might be, but it's not a guarantee that they will be. Yeah, all right, I shouldn't keep repeating myself.
So many of you guys. It's a perfect video to just connect with you guys even more than I already do. That's it, guys. That's the end of this video.
All right, it was a disappointing video. He didn't really go into... Well, I guess I shouldn't say he didn't really go into much. I mean, he went into the map real hard. He really read everything in every single circle. There really wasn't a discussion of what he knew about his family history. There wasn't any discussion of, does it correlate with what he knows? Does it not? I don't know his background. So, he could be adopted. He could come from something very different, so I don't want to make any sort of assumptions that he does know his family history, because there are a lot of people that unfortunately do not. In terms of the reading of the results, just to focus on that map, which really just doesn't say anything of use. I'm actually, let's see the results again. So he's basically, let's see, what is it? I'm clicking around here. So the 32.8% Irish-Scottish Welsh, so probably has a grandparent. 14.6% Balkan. That one's actually pretty interesting. I can't remember if Balkan is one that commonly pops up with MyHeritage, but 14.6, that means you're looking at about a great-grandparent distance, technically a little bit more. Possibly has a great-grandparent who came from somewhere in the Balkans, Eastern European areas. Maybe he has an ancestor who lived there during the Yugoslavia times. Then we have the 7.1% Iberian, which that, could be correlating to maybe a second great-grandparent or maybe even further than that. Could also be a misread. I think Iberian's one of the ones that I've seen pop up a lot on MyHeritage more than usual with a lot of other companies. Like I notice a lot of people will get Iberian on MyHeritage and be like, I'm not getting anything like that on my other tests. So it could also be a misread. And unfortunately with MyHeritage, they don't release the results we need to be able to understand how we can judge the performance of the tests. So each population group has differences in how well they can read it, and they don't release anything on that, which a lot of companies do. They're called white papers, and that paper will go into the details, what studies they use, the performance stuff behind it, and all of that. But looking at the European, that's adding to basically, that's adding to just over 51%. So I'm guessing maybe one of his parents is fully European, and then maybe his other parent is fully African. And then, of course, not knowing his background, it's also possible that maybe both of his parents are also mixed. And then looking at those African readings, a 22.1% Nigerian, 16.5% Sierra Leonean, and then a 6.1% Kenyan. I think it is pretty interesting. The 6.1% Kenyan stands out a bit more just because looking more into that Eastern Africa side of things as opposed to Western Africa. So if his family were recent immigrants from Africa to England, I would be curious if they came from multiple areas or if they are just, as far as he knows, his whole side of African ancestry comes from one area. And then maybe that could show a little bit of how good these tests are or aren't for people of African ancestry. But it'd also be interesting to see if he does know that his family came from multiple places in Africa and knows some of the history with that. So overall, fairly disappointing video. Didn't really go into to much good stuff anyway. Just quick reading of the percentages and then the focus on the map. Definitely a lot of interesting stuff here, and definitely a family tree I'd be very interested to see built out and see, what his family history is, and most especially their stories. So if you want to be on YouTuber Family Trees, the series I do tracing the family trees of other YouTubers, hit me up because I'd love to do your family tree. It'd be great to be able to see something like that. And for those who aren't familiar with this series, you can actually check out this video I did tracing the family tree of Jabari Walker to a very unique African American ancestry. Thank you to my patrons and YouTube members.